is Jocelyn Chen, and I'm presenting on the educational policy for gender and ethnic study, stigmatization, and mental health needs for the students. Mental health issues among the young people are on the rise, including mood disorder, anxiety, eating disorder, depression, and self-harm behavior. In addition, access to mental health services are also low among the racial minority students and LGBTQ students. LGBTQ youth have specific challenges during their academic journey, which hinder their access to mental health support, isolation, and other behavior, leading to a tremendous impact on learning and grade, and could even lead to suicidal behaviors. The policy is based on social concept of mental illness, which stem that mental and psychological issues are based on three interrelated concepts. Social comment of mental health is that class, gender, ethnicity, and sexual orientation can result in an influence in the relationship of individual with others, resulting in an emotional and behavioral response that is based on those interactions or social factor. For the policy brief, some of the questions that guide my research include what kind of health needs the student with varying ethnic and gender identity have in schools and college? What are some effective delivery systems that students from various gender and ethnic identity need? How perceived stigma can result in hindrance for the effective implementation of the student? Is there any lack of access to usable data that could provide insight into effective implementation of the policy? Stakeholders who will involved in the current educational policy development and implementation include the U.S. Department of Education Student Leadership Network, which is an NGO that provides support to the youth from diverse community-based organizations in LA, including Equality California and other ethnic CBOS, families of the students, teachers, and school and college administration.
There are several sociological models to consider when focusing on the matter of mental health access and isolation among LGBTQ and minority ethnic students. This model is based on a culturally responsive model of education, where culturally relevant approaches of instruction are included in the curriculum. This model seeks to emphasize on certain things, such as the use of language and understandings that the students have already acquired in their culture or community. Similarly, this must also relate to the culture and gender-appropriate language, so to include the students from all arenas, regardless of their backgrounds and sexual orientation, in the pedagogy experience. Establishing of caring relationships is also important, where the instructor should make sure that they are involved with the students within and outside the class to ensure that their pedagogical and related issues are being kept in check.
A sociologist using this approach starts with assumption that society and institutions within society, such as education, are made up of interdependent parts of all working together, each contributing some necessary activity to function of the whole society. The outcome of dynamic is to maintain order and consist among individuals in the group. There's some fit between the educational system and the society guides the research, interpretation, and policy recommendation of the functionalists. The functionalists argue for change in society that's not described, but rather or that helps overall system adapt to a new circumstance and contribute to optimal performance. Change is generally viewed as a low evolutionary process in society. The educational system, which is vulnerable to constant change, is seen as a crucial site for integrating society into a cohesive functioning whole. Therefore, the educational system should be maintained optimally. The issue of isolation, bullying, and the social pressure of self-identity and self-esteem are certain issues that the students face in educational institutions. Their social network, which makes the issue even more a significant one in the context of an educational policy. Sociological phenomena which will be included in this policy framework, including racism, stigmatization of mental health issues, inequality related to gender and gender identity, social imagination of homosexuality and homophobia, and gender and ethnic stereotype. Most importantly, as the sociological theories have entailed, the focus is on how educational institutions can shape or facilitate these sociological phenomena, and how improvement in the educational institution can give rise to an overall improvement in the access to mental health and inclusive opportunity for LGBTQ and ethnic minority students. The current policy for the protection of LGBTQ and ethnic minority students is related to the inclusion of the Title X in the provision of the U.S. Department of Education. It is essential to know that currently there is no uniform network or policy framework that is nationally applied. Rather, there are disparate support policy in different states for mental health and well-being of varying ethnic and gender identity. Some of these policies include cultural inclusive educational material, bullying protection, professional development, suicide prevention, behavioral health programs. These policies are implemented on either state or institutional level.
The current policy uses a sociological lens to look into the issues that are inherent to the educational institutions, which often lead to the perpetuation of stereotypes and mental health issues among students. This could relate to peer networks or the lack of appropriate pedagogical techniques used in the schools. This approach is based on the functionalism paradigm, where peers, school, and teachers are considered to have a primary influence on students. Hence, The present policy will be focused on the identification of the root cause of the issues and removal of barriers within the school environment, so that students could seek help from their institutions. The policy also intends to broaden the scope of policy and contextualizing problems in social and wider phenomena, such as the pandemic and institutionalized racism/homophobia. Enhanced funding for better research on mental health issues among various ethnic minorities, its reasons, and support for both cultural and LGBTQ communities is a fundamental part of the policy. This might also include any specific training required for the teachers for culturally responsive pedagogy.
In conclusion, the policies focus on improving the educational regime by introducing a culturally res- responsive pedagogy with an increased policy focus on eliminating the root cause of mental health access issues. This requires a greater focus on transforming the educational environment. However, there are certain limitations to the policy. The policy is broad in terms of its scope. Other limitations include the policy requires huge funding for implementation across each state. The policy's suggestion does not look at a unique issue that exists within a varying ethnic minority, such as different Asian American community. This barrier may hinder its implementation on a national scale.